The decision of where to live in Israel as an English-speaking immigrant involves a delicate balance between comfort and integration, between maintaining familiar cultural connections and embracing a new linguistic and social environment. The size and nature of the English-speaking community in your chosen area will profoundly impact your absorption experience, affecting everything from daily social interactions and professional opportunities to your children's language development and your family's long-term integration into Israeli society. Understanding these dynamics is crucial for making an informed choice that supports both immediate comfort and successful long-term absorption. English-speaking communities in Israel vary dramatically in size, concentration, and character across different geographical areas and community types. Major cities like Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and Ra'anana host substantial English-speaking populations that include recent immigrants, long-term residents, temporary residents, and native English speakers working in international businesses or organizations. These communities often maintain vibrant social networks, cultural organizations, and support systems that can ease the transition to life in Israel while providing ongoing connections to familiar cultural patterns and practices. The advantages of living in areas with large English-speaking populations are numerous and particularly valuable during the initial absorption period. New immigrants often find crucial practical support from those who have navigated similar challenges, including recommendations for services, explanations of bureaucratic processes, and guidance on everything from finding appropriate schools to understanding cultural norms. These communities frequently maintain informal networks that help newcomers find employment, housing, and social connections, significantly reducing the isolation and confusion that can accompany major life transitions. Social and cultural familiarity within English-speaking communities provides emotional comfort that cannot be underestimated. Being able to communicate naturally and effortlessly, to share cultural references and humor, and to maintain social patterns that feel familiar can provide crucial psychological support during the challenging process of cultural adaptation. Many English-speaking communities organize cultural events, holiday celebrations, and social gatherings that help maintain connections to previous cultural experiences while gradually incorporating Israeli elements. For families with children, English-speaking communities often provide access to educational frameworks that can ease the transition while supporting bilingual development. Some areas offer schools with strong English language programs, international curricula, or dual language approaches that allow children to maintain their English proficiency while developing Hebrew skills. The presence of other English-speaking families can provide children with peer groups who understand their linguistic and cultural background, reducing feelings of isolation or difference that might otherwise complicate social development. Professional considerations also play a significant role in the language and community equation. Many English speakers work in fields where their native language skills are valuable assets, including high-tech, international business, education, writing, and tourism. Communities with substantial English-speaking populations often host more businesses and organizations that value English language skills, potentially providing better career opportunities for immigrants who are still developing their Hebrew proficiency. The networking opportunities within established English-speaking professional communities can be invaluable for career development and business connections. However, living within large English-speaking communities can also create challenges for Hebrew language acquisition and broader cultural integration. The comfort and convenience of English language social circles may reduce motivation and opportunities for Hebrew practice, potentially slowing language development and limiting access to broader Israeli society. Children who attend English language schools or socialize primarily with other English-speaking families may develop excellent English skills but struggle with Hebrew proficiency, which could affect their long-term educational and professional opportunities in Israel. The concentration of English speakers in certain neighborhoods or communities can sometimes create cultural enclaves that remain somewhat separate from mainstream Israeli society. While these communities provide valuable support and cultural continuity, they may also inadvertently limit exposure to Israeli culture, social norms, and perspectives. Long-term residents of heavily English-speaking areas sometimes find themselves less integrated into Israeli society than they intended, with social circles, cultural practices, and even shopping and entertainment preferences remaining largely unchanged from their pre-immigration patterns. Smaller cities and towns with modest English-speaking populations present different opportunities and challenges for language learning and cultural absorption. These communities often provide more intensive Hebrew immersion experiences, as daily interactions necessarily occur in Hebrew and English language social options are limited. This environment can accelerate language learning and cultural integration, forcing immigrants to develop Hebrew skills and cultural competencies more quickly than might occur in English-dominant areas. The reduced availability of English language services and social networks in smaller communities requires immigrants to engage more directly with Israeli institutions, customs, and social patterns. This deeper engagement often leads to more authentic cultural understanding and stronger connections with local Israeli communities. Many immigrants in these settings report feeling more genuinely integrated into Israeli society, with Hebrew proficiency developing more rapidly and cultural adaptation occurring more naturally. However, the challenges of living in communities with small English-speaking populations can be substantial, particularly during the initial absorption period. The lack of familiar cultural support networks can intensify feelings of isolation and confusion during an already stressful transition. Practical challenges like navigating bureaucracy, understanding cultural norms, and accessing appropriate services become more difficult without the guidance of those who share similar backgrounds and experiences. Professional opportunities may be more limited in smaller communities with fewer English speakers, particularly for immigrants whose Hebrew skills are still developing. The absence of established English-speaking professional networks can make job searching and career development more challenging. Additionally, educational options for children may be more limited, with fewer bilingual or English language programs available. Religious considerations add another layer of complexity to language and community choices for English-speaking immigrants. Many English-speaking immigrants are religiously observant and seek communities that support their religious practices while facilitating cultural absorption. Some religious communities have developed sophisticated approaches to balancing English language comfort with Hebrew development, offering services, classes, and social programs in both languages, while emphasizing the importance of Hebrew proficiency for long-term integration. The ultra-Orthodox English-speaking communities in places like Jerusalem and Bnei Brak have created comprehensive support systems that include English language religious services, educational institutions, and social networks. These communities can provide remarkable support for religious families making Aliyah, but they may also create environments where Hebrew development is less emphasized, potentially affecting children's integration into broader Israeli society. Modern Orthodox communities often strike different balances, emphasizing both religious observance and broader cultural integration. These communities frequently prioritize Hebrew language development while maintaining English language religious and cultural programming. The approach can provide excellent support for religious families while encouraging deeper integration into Israeli society. For secular English-speaking immigrants, the considerations may focus more on professional opportunities, social connections, and educational frameworks than on religious compatibility. However, the cultural aspects of community choice remain equally important, as secular immigrants must navigate questions about maintaining cultural traditions, developing Hebrew proficiency, and integrating into Israeli secular society. The timing of immigration and family composition significantly affect how language and community considerations should be weighted. Young adults without children may prioritize rapid Hebrew development and cultural integration, making smaller communities with intensive immersion experiences more appealing. Families with young children might prioritize communities with strong English-speaking networks and educational support systems, accepting slower Hebrew development in exchange for easier family adjustment. Older immigrants may find English-speaking communities essential for maintaining social connections and accessing services, as language learning becomes more challenging with age. However, these same immigrants might also benefit from the cultural stimulation and personal growth that comes from engaging with Israeli society more broadly. Long-term absorption success often depends on finding the right balance between immediate comfort and future integration goals. Many successful immigrants recommend starting in communities with substantial English-speaking support networks while gradually expanding social and professional connections into broader Israeli society. This approach allows for necessary support during the initial adjustment period while maintaining momentum toward deeper cultural integration. The evolution of personal language and cultural preferences often surprises immigrants themselves. Many arrive convinced they want to maintain primarily English-speaking social circles, only to find themselves increasingly drawn to Hebrew-speaking friendships and cultural experiences. Others begin with ambitious integration goals, but discover that maintaining strong English language cultural connections is more important to their happiness and identity than they initially realized. Professional Hebrew development deserves special consideration, as workplace language requirements often differ significantly from social Hebrew needs. Many English-speaking immigrants find that their professional success depends on developing sophisticated Hebrew language skills that go beyond conversational proficiency. Communities with strong professional development resources, Hebrew language programs, and mentorship opportunities can significantly impact career advancement and professional satisfaction. The digital age has changed some aspects of language and community considerations, as online connections can supplement local community resources. English-speaking immigrants can now maintain cultural connections and access support networks virtually while living in Hebrew-dominant communities. However, digital connections cannot fully replace the practical support, spontaneous social interactions, and cultural familiarity that come from local English-speaking communities. Ultimately, the choice of community based on language and absorption considerations is deeply personal and depends on individual priorities, family circumstances, professional needs, and cultural values. Some immigrants thrive in intensive immersion environments that accelerate language learning and cultural adaptation, while others require the comfort and support of familiar cultural communities to maintain psychological well-being during the challenging absorption process. The key is understanding these trade-offs clearly and making choices that support both immediate adjustment needs and long-term integration goals, recognizing that these choices can and often should evolve as circumstances change and absorption progresses.